The broadcast is live, it says.
Are you going to be working on the demo today, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not here, not live, but unfortunately, I really wanted to show it here. It's pretty cool. I think it really showcases what Robby does. It showcases the data fusion and that stuff pretty nicely.
Okay. Now we can plan it for the next one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put it off for a week. I really, before we go up to the Bay Area with it, I really want to have that working so that if someone wants to see a demo up there, I can do it.
Nice.
Because it's the thing I found yesterday. They're pitching it. Words don't do it. You
Yeah.
can you can describe all you want that it's getting the data all simultaneously and treating it all nicely. But I think you don't get the aha until I can show going into the storage engine on it and show all the data that's collected while we're doing the demo. Because
That's
as it's
great.
in the demo, you'll have it doing pictures, doing images for the custom vision, doing the object detection. And then you can be doing that, but during that time, the whole time it's pulling in, I think I figured it out to something like 3 or 4 thousand data points per second
Oh, wow.
that it's sucking in while you're sending 2 megabyte things off to the internet and stuff, and all of it happening simultaneously without bumping into each other.
So, so let me see if I get a understand it correctly, Lee. So you have, what are the devices that you're using to for the demo?
For the demo, there's 2 Arduino cards, uh, RP lidar, 360-degree lidar, and the depth camera.
Okay.
And the depth camera sits on a pan and tilt mast.
Okay.
So the one of the Arduinos is just sitting there pumping out data. It uses the sketch that I use on a range sensor thing in the robot. So it's emulating pulling data from 6 different range sensors 6 times a second.
Okay.
And then the RP LiDAR is going, which it spits out. It does about 8 of these frames per second, and each frame has about 500 data points in it. With you got angle and distance and quality
Okay.
for each of for about 150 points around the compass each time the lidar spins.
Okay.
So
So you
that's all
have
coming in constantly.
so you got 4 devices, and so okay, so then the sensors are connected directly to the Arduino boards. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's actually no sensors, but the Arduino board is just sitting there spitting out data. It's basically sending you the random voltages off of 6 of its analog pins.
Okay.
It's just to be shoving out data at a pretty good rate constantly. And the second Arduino board just runs the pan and tilt sensors,
Okay.
or pan and tilt servos, sorry.
Okay. Well, that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's all packaged together in a little thing I can all hook together, and I can just lift it out and plug it into my computer, and it should go. Except
Nice.
yesterday, I put it all together and plugged it into my computer, and nothing happened.
Yep, that's how things work, Lee.
Yeah, thank goodness I wasn't standing in front of 1,000 people or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the I guess I don't know how to do this. I'm on my iPad here trying to see the stats on the live stream. Somebody just joined the live stream on YouTube.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and for those of you watching on Instagram, come on over to YouTube. The link is on my bio. So someone saying they like my shirt. Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, okay. That is pretty good. But that I remember when that disc was the new thing. Do you
And
remember real floppy disks?
the five. Well, I remember the 5 1/4. I don't
Okay.
remember. There were bigger ones before that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think were they 8.5? I don't remember, but yeah, there was great big ones, and then the 5 1/4s were a big deal because they were smaller but held a lot more data. 'Cause they
Hmm.
went double density and then double sided on the disk. And so I think you could get up to like a quarter of a meg on one, which was huge
Wow.
in those days. I remember when I got my first 20 megabyte hard disk. Ooh, boy, that was
20.
really something.
The first.
Seagate ST225.
Yeah, you still remember.
Oh yeah, yeah. Boy, everybody that was the one to get was the Seagate self parking ST225.
I remember my first computer. I had 600 megs of storage, um, 4 megabytes of RAM, and it was a Pentium 90. I remember
Oh
when those
yeah, oh yeah.
like the first Pentiums that came out.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Pentium one.
Yeah,
And then you had the 1, 2, 3, and 4. I guess 4 was the last one before they went into the new
the Core
the
eyes.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember that I didn't want to get a 486 because that's what we had at school at that time. It's like, no, I want a Pentium because at least that I'll go lower on the other specs, and then you know I'll
Boy, I
upgrade
remember
them.
when the 486 came out though. That was a big deal. You had the 386 prior to that,
Hmm.
and the 286 before that, and the 286 was just that they called that the AT because that the IBM had the XT and the AT. So
Okay.
everybody had AT clones or XT clones. And the AT clones had the 286, and then the 386 came out, and that was a big deal. And then the 486 was the first one where you could get. I think it was the first one where you got megahertz on
Okay.
the processor. I'm not sure. I think though it
And
was.
wasn't the 486 the one that also came out with the math, like a numbers or math processor? I think that was a big deal,
Oh
right?
yeah, they
Because
called it the coprocessor or something like
yeah,
that.
because I
Yeah,
think of
yeah.
on the 386, it was a separate chip that you had to get if you wanted that,
That's
and then
right.
and
Yeah.
the 486 combined it, and it was a lot better.
I remember, it's so funny to think of this stuff now. There was I was an IT director at the time, and there was this company I worked with that we'd buy our clones from. In those days, you've had somebody that built clones for you, and you bought them if you're dealing with a lot of computers. So I bought 50 or 100 computers from that guy. And I remember going and seeing a 486 there, and it had something displaying that it was doing like I think it was 100 megahertz or something on the processor, and that was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Around that same time, that same guy, he got hooked up with a video shop, and they wanted to do a big video array or a big hard disk array.
Okay.
So he put together a 1 terabyte hard disk array for them
Holy crap!
that was $500,000
Wow.
to get a terabyte of storage. And it was like
Wow.
all of these tower computers hooked together on a RAID network.
Here, someone saying in the chat that their first computer was a Pentium 2
Okay, I remember those.
to play PC Man. Do you remember that game? PC Man?
PC Man. No.
Pentium 2. Pentium 2, the twos were that's when they did a slot, right? I think 2 and 3 were slots. They weren't sockets on the motherboards. You
Uh
remember them?
boy, yeah, vaguely. God, that's a long time ago. You know, I'm awful old to remember that far back. Yeah, I think I do remember that. But that was right around the P2s was I think right around when plug and play started happening,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember on the Pentium board I had a hell of a time trying to put a sound card on that thing. A
Yeah.
Sound Blaster 16. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember those.
Now it's like what? Like if you think about it, it's like anything you get, any device, audio is like, you know, it's taken for granted. Of course, it's gonna have audio,
Yeah, and it's on
right?
the motherboard, so don't worry about it. It's going to have what's on the motherboard is going to be as good as what you can get anywhere,
Yeah,
probably, unless you're like doing a sound studio or something.
yeah. I remember that. I that was my first computer, so I didn't know much. And I remember that I had just enough money left after I bought the computer to get a video game, and they had the Tomb Raider,
Oh yeah,
the first one. And I remember I went home, I put it on there, and I couldn't hear anything other than just the music coming from the CD. It's like, what the heck? I don't hear the sounds. Like I don't hear the gun. Right? And then I started, oh, okay, so I need a sound card for
yeah.
that.
And you remember Hercules graphics cards?
I think I do.
That
Yeah.
was the
They,
old monochrome graphics cards that you could get.
yeah.
That and you know, if you didn't have any kind of graphics card in a original IBM computer or the original clones, it was all text based. You couldn't even get raster graphics.
Wow.
So the Hercules graphics card was a big deal for a long time, and then everybody was coming out with these clones of the Hercules. So it was really important to have Hercules compatible.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh man, that's a long time ago, Lee.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Wayback Machine
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that video cards. I think it was 3D FX. It was a brand that was around back in those days. I think that brand was Voodoo. I don't know
Yeah,
whatever happened to
yeah, I
them.
remember Voodoo's. Those
Yeah,
were VGAs mostly, right?
yeah. And then
Yeah.
they made it to AGP, but then they died down because I think Nvidia started coming out and AMD, and they started getting into video cards, and yeah, they didn't last too much after. Yeah.
Till they got plug and play settled down, just getting one of those cards to work in your system could be a chore.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
even I remember when the first year or two of plug and play, everybody called it plug and pray
Yeah.
because it
Because
would
it
work about
didn't.
once out of 10 times it would actually work. And the rest of the time you're in there digging through the drivers just like you always
Yeah.
were.
Now it's yeah. Now that it's a lot. I mean, it did take a lot of jobs out of the market, right? Like people who used to fix computers and
Oh,
upgrade them and
yeah.
all that. I remember I used to do that for a while, and then like people didn't want to pay after. Say, well, I think I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah. You know, it really isn't that hard to plug it into the board anymore. Yeah, I'm sure I told you my first computer was 16K of memory, and I think the processor was running at 4 kilohertz.
Wow. And that's how you started, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and then I went and I bought two floppy drives for it that each held, I think, 125K. And that was a big deal. I got off the cassette drive and actually got some floppy drives for it.
Oh wow.
I think I was into that computer for a couple $1,000 before I gave up on it. I had it boosted up to 48K of RAM and the two floppy drives, and I put some sort of graphics thing on it that you got from Radio Shack, and then went and bought a XT clone for, I don't know, I think I paid $150 for it.
Wow.
It had 64K of RAM and two half meg floppies. I think it was double sided, double density. I can't remember. A long time ago.
Wow.
But that's where I went crazy and got that ST225. Man, that was a big deal. You could put 20 million bytes on that sucker. That was huge.
Did you ever get into the Apple II?
I never
Or the
did. I saw them, and it was purely happenstance that, I mean, I was walking through a Radio Shack one day and just happened to have gotten my tax thing back, my tax refund, and saw those computers in there, and oh, I'll buy one of those without even thinking about it.
That's cool.
If I'd have really been into it and studied it, I probably would have done the Apple.
Hmm.
But I didn't even know the Apple existed until after I bought the Radio Shack.
Yeah. Now, Radio Shack doesn't even exist anymore, right? I don't think
No,
I've seen. Yeah,
no.
I think they're gone.
Yeah, I loved Radio Shacks. Did you ever go into one?
Yeah.
I loved those with all the electronic stuff. It was like the nerd shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that they had actually like capacitors and all that
Oh
stuff in
yeah.
the
Yeah, all of the individual little components were there on the wall. You could build anything.
yeah.
And you could get books of electronics projects to do and stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, I think the last one I saw was like in 2005 or so. They had one at the mall that was still open. I was
Yeah,
like,
after
wow.
the head company or the real corporation closed down, there was still some of the stores stayed open for 10 or 15 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
That were just individual stores at that point, really, and were no longer really franchises, I think is how it went.
Oh, okay.
I think it closed down, though, in the late 90s, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure I could Google it and
I
find
think
out.
I think it when Circuit City was alive around the same time, and they both went down more or less at the same
Well,
time.
Circuit City was owned by Radio Shack, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or wait a minute, no, it was Computer City. I don't remember. Radio Shack opened a store that was a really cool computer store that had really good selection of shrink wrap software, the old shrink wrap boxes of software on
Mhm.
the shelves. And it was a very cool store for its time.
What's the other one? CompUSA was the one that I used to go to a lot.
CompUSA, that's what it was. That was the one
Okay.
right by Radio Shack, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember that more or less around the same time, Circuit City, CompUSA, and Radio Shack just kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then Best Buy came in the picture to sort of take over whatever Circuit
Take up
City
the
left it.
slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you could
Yeah.
still go to Best Buy and buy the shrink wrap boxes.
Hmm. Yeah. Once in a while, whenever I need something like a month ago or so, mouse computer, my son, his M2 drive died,
Mm.
and just had to run over there and pick one up. So it's that's good. He didn't have to wait a couple days for it to show up or a day. We just ran over there, and I was surprised that the prices weren't that bad,
No, they're
because
pretty good.
I compared it to Amazon, and it was about the same price. I was like, Amazon is not as cheap as it used to be.
Yeah, but the free shipping that takes care of some of that.
Hmm.
I still go to Best Buy every once in a while. It's good to have a place where you can go put your eyes on things and play
Yeah,
with them and look at them.
yeah. I think for like if you're buying a laptop, it's difficult to kind of get a feel for the keyboard if and how solid it's built.
Yeah,
For some things, some purchases I don't think you should do online completely. I think it's good to walk in and see it.
I
Um,
agree completely.
yeah,
It's one of the downsides of the whole online thing, because it's getting harder and harder to have a place to go to do that.
yeah, yeah. And I guess the crappy side for Best Buy is that some people go, they test it, and then they look for it
And then
online.
go buy it on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
been there.
One thing I don't buy at Best Buy is cables because they'll gouge you. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
one time I was looking for an HDMI cable, $22 for a 6 foot HDMI. You guys are crazy.
Boy, that's cheap too. I remember when they first came out, those things were really
Oh
expensive.
yeah, because they wanted to sell you like the gold plated and all
That's
that
right.
the
Yeah.
fancy
Well, for it to
stuff.
really work and get the really good video, you need the gold, man.
Yeah, spend 40, $50 on a cable.
That's right, on a stupid video cable.
Yeah, now you can find them on Amazon for what, like $7, $8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That work just fine.
Yep.
I told George about these live streams yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, I get on and watch." I said, "George, we're just getting on there gabbing. I don't think it's going to be that interesting to you."
Yeah. We should bring him on. We can know he has time instead of just watching. He can jump on and
Well, that's something we should do because he'd be fun on here. George is a hoot. Yeah. Although he might get on here and have stage fright.
No, I doubt it, George.
No, yeah,
He's
yeah.
been
We're
in big
talking about
stages.
George here. He
Yeah.
wouldn't have stage fright. He's used to standing up in front of giant corporations and talking.
Yeah. I just saw James join the Instagram live stream.
Hey, what's happening, James? I didn't realize James had gone to work for George.
Did he?
Yeah, that's what George said. I think he's doing George's
No, I
other
think
company.
it's the other James, James Ald.
Oh, is that the deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well,
Because
I
I
knew.
was saying when he told me, I was thinking, man, I thought James was still with Etain.
Well, when I talked to James a while ago, he was still at the same place, and he was happy. Well, it sounded like he was happy. He's probably gonna tell me right now if I'm wrong.
Yeah, were you just putting a good face on it, James, or was it real? Yeah, I'm sure that you're right about that because I was confused. I didn't think hadn't heard about that with him
Yeah,
working for George.
James just confirmed that. Yeah, no, he didn't go work for George. Yep, it's James Ald.
That makes sense.
He says he's trying to get a raise.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I'm not being sarcastic there.
Yeah, so for those of you who are wondering who James is we used to work with him. We used to work at the same company, and once in a while he joins my live streams. James, his username is sweeten the deal.
Okay, that's pretty good. That sounds very James.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right about getting George on here. We should try and talk him into that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Maybe once we start getting a structure, like the list of topics. You know what I was thinking, Lee, and I think you mentioned it too, to sort of have like at least episode numbers, right? I don't know if the Robby show would be the right thing to call it,
Maybe.
but yeah, and then just having episodes, like because I just realized when I was setting it up on YouTube, you have to give it a title, um, and it's like, okay, live stream Q&A session. It's like, oh, okay, there should be something else.
How about Robby World?
There you go, Robbie World. James says that we should get a lunch sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be back down that way next week, hopefully.
Okay.
Maybe we could all get together.
Yeah. Yeah. And yesterday, Lee, I don't know what happened. That and I remember you mentioning that you were going to be, in town. And then I guess I just got busy with work and I completely forgot.
George and I had a good time bad mouthing you at lunch. Yeah, I think as far as structure goes, I mean, I'm not a very structured person, you can tell, but I think it'd be a good idea to come up with, have like sections of the show that we do different things on.
Yeah.
Or something like that. We'll have to sit down and noodle it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it would be fun to have guests. But from my experience, Lee, when we're talking about guests, like with George, it would be easy, right? Because we're in contact with him. But it gets tricky when it's someone that from online. If it's someone who they might be also a content creator, or someone who's on Instagram or things like that, and it's really hard to connect. Like the times that I've tried to do it on Instagram, with different people who want to do it, it's just lining up our schedules is difficult.
Right, right.
Yeah, for you and I'll send you a message on Teams like, "Hey, are we doing? Yeah, let's do it." Or
let's get on.
yeah, yeah. So it's different, but with George, I think it could work. So I think we just have to plan it ahead of time, for things for schedules to really work if we want to do that. And I think we should. I think it's really cool when you get a different perspective,
Yeah,
on the show.
yeah. Next time I see him, I'll run it by him, see what he thinks about it.
Yeah,
He's been getting more and more busy, I think. He's got
yeah.
2 companies he's starting.
Yeah.
And the one of them's already up and running, and he's actively hiring people for. And then the other one, that's the startup.
Well, I guess that could be where he can benefit, right? If he's hiring and we get him some exposure here,
Yeah.
like,
Hey,
hey,
we work with this kind of community of programmers. You might want to come and show them your
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I think we probably maybe need to get a little bit more established. So like right now, for the people who are on Instagram, what I'm seeing is that they come and they see what's going on, and I think they're just there's a lot of churn. Not a lot of people are staying.
Right,
Um,
right.
so I think we just need to get more following on YouTube, and then kind of find the structure of how we're gonna be doing the live streams, but and the time, also the time, because as you noticed, when was the last one we did? Wednesday, Thursday night, right?
Yeah, it ended up being Thursday night. That's right.
Yeah, we had a lot more people on than today.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you said at one point we were over like 30 people or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guess it's too early on a Saturday morning.
Yeah. All righty. So I think we should wrap it up, Lee.
All right.
Um, yeah. I don't see anything else. And I'll give you a call right after. I'll end the broadcast and I'll give you a call.
Okay, yeah, give me 5 minutes.
Okay. Sounds good, Lee.
Take a bio break.
All righty.
All right, man. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining.